Hi, my name's Hayley Barkler, and each month I check in with the universe to see what we've collectively created for ourselves. This month's energy update is going to be unlike any other before. We've been set a challenge to do, so we'll get into that shortly. If it's your first time watching, or if you like the content that I offer, please subscribe and send on to friends and family so that we can help each other during this time. And if you're interested in a personal truth channeled reading, which I offer, jump onto my website or sign up to my blog and you're in the running to win one each month. Okay, so let's get started. This month we have been challenged, I would say. We've been challenged and we're going to be set a task to really build our spiritual muscle. So where we've been for the first half of the year has been very much about raising consciousness, clearing out old patterning, very much about the physical and the more individual, but moving into and with little glimpses of how we're moving towards that collective oneness. So when we tipped over a point around that Easter period, we really moved into a point of no time, and that's been a couple of months since there. And this month what's come through is very much setting the training ground for where we're headed. It's they've made a clear thing. There's no point just constantly fixing things if we're never get to experience the fabulous. And that's that whole rebirth notion of what these next couple of years is about. So I definitely sense, and sort of from a couple of things I've been told and shown in my own meditations recently, that we'll probably get a lot more of these challenges, as they're calling them. But really, they've made it very clear they're activations, and we need to start moving towards and relearning, remembering how we increase our energy frequencies and how that then changes how we interact and create in the world. Okay, so before we get into the actual details of what our challenge is, we'll just go through a couple of things that they've mentioned, because I think it's really important to just remind ourselves how amazing we are as human beings, how consciousness is so unlimited. And for those, if you're new in a spiritual journey, this is absolutely something that you can participate in. This is not, you don't have to be at any level of your journey. However, I'll just make it clear that it might not quite make sense to you at this point, but hopefully down the track that will, as your understanding of how interwoven we are really expands. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to read a little bit because there's a few points that I just don't want to mess up. So the narrative for July is that there is no narrative. And the whole premise of July is that and this is not time specific, this one, I just want to make that very clear. If you're listening to this in another year's time, please, this is still apparent, because this is about the conscious creation of where we're heading and learning those tools, okay? So there is no narrative for July, and they want us to really peel back and play a game with them. So this is about, and it's not just pretending, because there is a symbolic reference to the unraveling of time in the 3D world that we live in, and as we move into higher dimensional understanding and awakening. But really it's about the breaking down of stories and wiping the slate clean. So we're going to pretend, imagine, create that world no longer exists. And we're going to start creating what that world would look like for us, each individually, right now. Okay? So let's run with that. It's time to create our new story. So this is the challenge ahead, and what they wanted to say, and it may seem like it's a fruitless sort of notion on the surface to write about something that obviously we're currently participating in, but they wanted to make it really clear that that we need to understand the power and the creative force that dreaming has. For each and every one of us to be here today, as in watching this, and also here on planet Earth, we need to understand that it took an intense firing of imagination to create that situation that we now find ourselves in. And we need to hold that understanding as the power we have as infinite creative beings. So we just reminded, we all created Earth from our infinite wonder. We all created the time that binds us. We all created life so that we may know ourselves and experience our human bodies, our physicality. And we all created each and every molecule that combines into form, be that solid form, fluid, any etheric, any kind of form. But we are, consciousness as a whole, created everything that we experience in our waking and sleeping states. So what they want us to say, if they tell us the narrative is over and there is nothing else, there is a blank slate, there's no right or wrong, there's no good to fight for, there's no evil to fight against, how does that impact your being? How do you recreate out of nothing? And this is what they want us to ponder for July. And they're saying this is a massive shift in the development of those willing to partake in this challenge. This is really going to step you into the new. Like, we can't just keep going along thinking that we're here to do something without actually doing something. And that's not fighting, that's not always fighting against what we're seeing around us. That is actually learning the new tools of the higher resonance that we want to participate in. So this is the starting point of that. Okay, so this is the training ground. So there's a couple of key things that we just want to touch on. Okay, so it is not allowable by the law of creation to be held back by someone else. Your own intent, your own individual intent trumps the path that you walk over anyone else that's impacting you in your hologram. That is so key to remember. That is your power. We often get ourselves in situations, be that as a global, what we're seeing on a global stage, or whether that's individually where we feel disempowered by someone in our situation, that they control our lives. We have to be so clear and so clear in our intent that is not the case. Heads up that the next 6 months is going to include a lot more about our own personal development into the space of infinite creative beings. So we will be given lessons on self-creation process, but for now they're going to start small and just get us really building that spiritual muscle. So what our task is to each individually write a recreation story of Earth. And this is this magical way of bringing into focus these powers that are sort of embedded in our being, but we haven't got access to. So this is the start of how we're going to get there. So in creating this story, they've given some guidelines, and they've also given us an example story, which I'll get to in a moment. But some guidelines for this is, they said write 5 sentences a day. Now that doesn't have to be really taxing. No one's judging this. It's just creative fun. So you can write those 5 sentences while you're waiting in the line for your sandwich at a cafe in the middle of the day. You can write those as you're falling asleep at night. While you're having a shower, speak it into your phone. There's no, well, obviously not in the shower, but you get what I mean. But yeah, just don't. It doesn't have to be a hard task. And they want us to really dream up a world that is full of everything that we love, but everything that we have never even dreamt of loving. And they want us to be really out of the box. So pigs might fly in this world, fish might sing, lava might taste like chocolate. This is really getting into that childhood, innocent play, full imagination. And I want to make it really clear, this is not homework. This is homing work. And it's just so important for us to get our beings back into a state of unlimited creative expression. So I'm going to read you their little story that they've given as an example, and it has 2 teachings in it. It is a little crazy, a little weird. It's very out of the box, but run with it because there are 2 key points in there, and then we will just touch on a couple of creation rules, and then I will let you get to it. So let me tell you their creation story. Today the world and all those in it cease to exist. The lollipop lady that showed me across the street each day just vanished, as did the street and the destination. The underlying wizardry of consciousness stood up and took center stage. As I stare into the black abyss, I see a sparkle of distant light. And then another, and another. They are heading toward me at a rapid rate. I pull them into my view and they snap to the blackness like magnets. I have full control over their movements. Up, down, forward, back, with only my mind as the controller. I dance the lights across the sky until they meet a wildebeest. It gobbles them up and spits out the formation of land beneath its feet. It walks so proudly on this land. It opens its mouth once again, and I see a rhinoceros walk from its lips. Continuing, the field of wilderness is developed, each animal spewing out another in a creative sumptuousness I've never before seen. They are creations within creations. Okay, so that's the little fable that they provided us. And the two key points to take there is, it starts with a lollipop lady. That is representing our childhood innocence. I'm sure if anyone that's walked to school has experienced a lollipop lady to get to their high school or primary school. And that is to click us back into that amazing imaginative play that we had complete access to as children. So that's the point of the story. We want to go back to that mindset. The second part of the story, which is the key lesson, is that they are creating out of creation. The animals come from within each animal, and they continue, and they just build and build and build, and they create a jungle, a forest, an amazing land of all these animals, all from within each other. And they're just reminding us that this is our ability. We have all forgotten the cardinal rules of creation. And that was part of coming down onto planet Earth. So here's a reminder. Do not stop the limits of your imagining. Your soul essence is encoded in the creation which bears your mind. So that means that everything that we create has an imprint of our own soul essence, our own consciousness in that. And that's obviously, we are all interconnected within that, but each of our creations has our signature on it. And we have the ability to collapse that at will and to expand that at will. Now that is something that I think I can visualize and I can really feel at a level beyond my abilities at this point in time, but it's something I have a really strong notion of, that we have that power to pop it into creation and take it away from creation that quickly. Okay, leave all other creative expression to their creators. The cleverness is in creating outside of that which you do not align to. So what that's saying is that we don't need to be hamstrung by what we're seeing around us or how others are creating, that we have our own power to create outside of that. If we don't align to that, create outside of that, create beyond that, that we don't limit ourselves and feel boxed in by the environment we consciously perceive. And last of all, be clear with your power. Futile dreamings lead to fumble. And they've just said we should all be well aware of this on this planet right now, because that's what we're walking toward. There's been a lot of futile dreaming. Okay, so obviously we know the rules of the game now. We're just being tasked to write a recreation story, and what they're saying, this really starts opening up our powers of what we call manifestation. That's what they say. I think they just call it creation. That we have that instantaneous solution available to us, but it won't present in these early stages. But this is the training ground to start opening up those abilities, so that is our natural state. Okay, I think that's all we're going to cover today. Good luck in doing this month. I'm definitely going to commit to it myself, because I would like to open up further from where I'm at. So good luck. Hope you get something from this. Please let me know. Send me some comments. Send me messages. I'd love to hear how this is working out for you. Okay, bye.